I'm Tim Callahan. We are in central Bakersfield. I'm going to flip the camera around. This is the scene right now. We are live right down here at 10th in Chester. That's where police have expanded to right now their perimeter on what they're calling a suspicious device. See if I can zoom in there. It is directly near that SUV that you can see in the foreground, the officer there towards the back of that vehicle. It went out over the scanners as a pipe with two ends, something about two ends on it. And immediately after that, BPD started calling in more units. You can see it's still pretty active here. There's been just a few people who have been trying to walk by this tape that they've set up. And BPD pretty adamant, in no uncertain terms, to stay back. One of the officers here with the K9 unit is been walking door to door and looking in windows and making sure no one's inside of these businesses. He was just right across the street at Boost Mobile and those areas, trying to make sure people know what's going on. This officer with one of the tech units is going to an individual here at that house and talking to him to let him know what's going on. So as you can see, a very active situation. Traffic here at 10th and Chester being turned around. A lot of people wondering what's going on and wondering what exactly this is all about. So as we mentioned, this is all for a suspicious device. Okay, so we're back here. I just had to pause to send a note to our desk. Anyways, we are here at 8th and Chester, between, I should say, 8th and Chester here on 10th. That's where BPD, the sergeant right here on scene, has been shutting down traffic, no uncertain terms, telling people to stay back. We've seen several people cross this police line here and try to walk across the street to some of these businesses, and they have done a good job at keeping people out. This is about a two and a half now square block radius. You can see 8th Street directly in the foreground there, and now the tech units with BPD, you can see, have pushed this perimeter back another half block. So we're talking about 2.5 blocks here on Chester Avenue on a busy day, a busy morning with a lot of people, buses coming through and a lot of people going to and from work. So this area is shut down right now at 10th and Chester. Hey, Sarge, do you have any information we could share with people at this point? Okay. So the sergeant on scene here has been doing a good job at making sure everyone's clear of the scene. He's obviously gathering information and pushed us back quite a bit. We were closer to that business across the street, you can see. And the sergeant told us to get back to the location we're at right now. So again, we're at 10th and Chester. And this is all for a suspicious device. All we knew is it came over the scanners as a pipe, a suspicious pipe that BPD officers stumbled upon. Again, if you're looking on your screen there, you can see those 3 cars that are left on the street. That's where BPD is saying that they found this device and are searching the area right now. So I would say a good 5, 6, 7 units on scene here, including the tech units who shut down this area. So as we mentioned, about a 3-block radius now shut down here. Officers still. Okay, so sorry about that. We are back here. Again, this is a situation with BPD. We're at 10th and Chester. Bakersfield Police have shut down a better part of 2.5 blocks now, all for a suspicious device. The call went out as unconfirmed, of course, at this point, as a lot of these situations do and develop, but went out as a pipe that was found. And we were on scene here first, and we're down closer to those 2 cars, and that's where police pointed to. You can kind of see them in the foreground there, and that's immediately when they told us to get back further. This this scene has been expanded in terms of how much area they're shutting off about 3 times now. They've sent people back on the other end further, and they've sent us back further. We have Mike Hart, who's on the other side of this scene, and he's going to be live on 23 ABC in just a few moments with a break-in and giving you the latest development. But everyone just standing by here as a lot of these situations develop. We can assume that we'll see SWAT teams coming down from BPD headquarters in a few moments. As they do, they're probably preparing and getting ready. But as you can see, traffic here, kind of a mess. These are a lot of surface streets where people are, coming to and from different businesses in this area, going to work perhaps on Chester, which is a major artery through town. And this has been shut down, which creates some confusion and a lot of cars that are turning around, asking the units here on scene, what's going on? You have people there standing by, presumably waiting to either walk through or visit several of these businesses. You have right here, a lot of people will know this one. This is the Big Shoe, the shoe repair shop. Alongside here, you have Boost Mobile, different tax preparation services. And of course, all these businesses we saw just a few moments ago, BPD officers walking door to door, knocking on windows, knocking on doors, making sure no one's inside these houses, because they have essentially cordoned off and shut down this entire area. So not uncommon in one of these situations, and a lot of these situations become, of course, rendered neutral, as Cop Talk would go, after the bomb squad gets on scene here and figures it out. But BPD using an abundance of caution, as they always do in these situations, evacuating streets, telling people to turn around. And we saw that as we got here on scene, probably about 6-7 minutes after the initial call went out. We were close by, and BPD was certainly telling people to get back. Several people on foot trying to walk by, get to their different services, and they were turned around pretty quickly. So we're continuing to monitor the situation. Mike Hart, as we mentioned, right about now, should be joining you on 23 ABC with an update from this scene. As we continue to just stand by and wait. A lot of these situations become a waiting game, which presumably we would see Bakersfield SWAT. There is a certain lag time to get on scene here as they prepare and get into their equipment and get down to this scene. As we mentioned, though, if you're just tuning in here, the better part of 2.5 blocks now between 8th and 10th now shut down. If you're familiar with the Hong Kong Chinese restaurant on Chester Avenue, that's where their most, that would be southern perimeter on this scene is set up. And we are backed up all the way to the north, just by that Big Shoe repair shop on Chester Avenue. So if you're trying to get through this area, you are going to have a difficult time. You're going to have to go through side streets, which a lot of cars are doing, asking police officers what is going on. Certainly will slow you down. And as we see someone here trying to get by, as we mentioned, they are still working on the situation. From our vantage point, give you an idea of what we do here. We monitor this situation on our trusty scanners. You can see here, this is how we figure out what's going on. And the unit we just heard from is that sergeant. You probably can't see him based on the size of this screen, but he's been the one in charge of this scene and the one coordinating all this blocking off of the streets and getting the units into the right spots. And so we had a brief moment to ask him if he had any information. He said he didn't. I've seen him on the phone several times walking around and presumably talking with the the bomb squad team, who will most likely be coming out to this scene to look at this device and to render it safe or not, and take the necessary steps. So if you are coming through this area again, we mentioned it is shut down right now. Not sure if that's the same traffic.
CRP further advised the subject put the item on the step block inside the business, then came outside, picked it up again, put it in his jacket, dropped it, and then walked southbound.
Okay, so that is traffic from Bakersfield Police Channel 1, which is the channel which is monitoring. Of course, this is all information that's unconfirmed, but...
Can we have that RP 1025 with us? in 8th and Chester.
So,
Correction. K and 9th.
So to kind
I believe he's left the area. We'll 1021 again.
So to kind of break through that that dispatch and put that into more layman terms, essentially what just went out over Bakersfield Police Channel is that some individual may have come out of one of these businesses and dropped that device and then moved on, and that's what created this initial panic. And that is at that business right there. You can see where that SUV with the white car in front, that's where Bakersfield Police believe this suspicious device is. Dispatchers just moments ago putting out the information about what they believe is their suspect who dropped this device. Again, if you're just tuning in here to our live stream on Facebook, we are at 10th and Chester. This is right the major artery through central Bakersfield. Police have shut down 2.5 blocks of this area after what they found to be a suspicious pipe. That's all the call went out as, and that's all we know so far. But in that response, they've shut down 2.5 blocks here on Chester Avenue, which you can imagine is creating somewhat of a little traffic headache for people who are needing to cross this area. Streets, they're going to have to use these side streets between 8th and 10th to get through, and so it's creating quite a mess here on a Thursday morning as people here talking to police units, asking them what's going on. This has been the situation in the last 20 minutes. Quite a crowd now gathering just to figure out what's going on and to talk to police officers. Again, a suspicious device found just about a block from where we're standing. We were actually first on scene here right as Bakersfield Police started taping off this area, and the sergeant came up to me and said, "You guys are going to have to go back further," because we were, as we now know, talking to the officers, the device is near that SUV, and we were right about there setting up our post when we first got to the scene. So police immediately pushed us back a little further once they realized the gravity of the situation, and now we are here at this post at 10th and Chester. Hey, Ramiro. And now we're just waiting information. Again, the sergeant on scene here has been good at blocking these streets off and making sure no one is going through here. We saw a officer with the K9 unit going door to door here to these businesses. You have an H&R Block right there, and a couple businesses across the way that are now shut down, and no one has been allowed to go into those areas. And so we are again standing our post here at 10th and Chester as Bakersfield Police have shut down 2.5 blocks now of this situation. Again, I am broadcasting here live on my phone, so I'm not able to sometimes I have to jump through to grab an email, but I have to stay on this live stream as we are having a lot of people watching here now, so I want to stick this up live and keep this going. If there's any questions people have, we've seen officers turning people away here and answering questions. There's quite a few businesses here. That's why there's so much foot traffic here. You have the shoe repair shop, you have a bail bonds shop, you have Boost Mobile, along with another tax preparation site across from H&R Block, which a lot of people were trying to get to early today on foot. And of course, Bakersfield Police have now blocked off this street, and no one is allowed to get through. So as we've seen a lot of these situations play out, there's a certain lag time between the time when officers shut down this street and when a bomb squad team can assemble at Bakersfield headquarters and make their way down here and talk to folks. So we are assuming that the bomb squad is on their way, so we haven't got official confirmation of that. But a lot of people just having to stand around and wait for information and wait for anything. There's quite a few people now who have gathered. If you know this area, this is quite a bit of foot traffic. So this is a headache, no doubt, for people who need to walk through, go to a certain business, drive through. We have Regional Transit who is making a change to their routes and having to drive around this scene. It'll take you a few extra minutes to go down the side streets here on Chester Avenue. You'll have to hit, you go down between, what would that be, Palm, I believe, to the east of us, and you'll have to go around. Hey, Ramiro, are they planning a live shots or anything?
Right now it's going to go live stream, but he wants me to go relieve Mike so he can go back to the station and I'm gonna head over.
Okay.